I know. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, so we're good to go.
Yes.
Cool. Good morning. So this morning I have started with props, roller and pole, bar, broom handle, stick, whatever you call it. That's how we start today. But actually what we're going to do, we're going to start relaxing. So I want you to lie lengthways along the length of the roller, so tail at one end, head at the other. And we're just going to start with a bit of a chest opener and a bit of core release work before we get going in our session this morning. So yes, Pilates, a little bit of... hello?
We can't hear you all the time. You keep cutting out.
Oh, it's all right for me.
Guys in the gallery, is everything okay sound wise? I'm
okay,
on the
here.
I'm on the good microphone, not the one that Pat lost on Friday.
I didn't lose it.
It's still missing.
And we're not all muted.
Right, so yeah, and if we can just check that everyone's muted. There you go. Creatures of habit, these ladies, they know when it's not right. That was the loveliest, warmest, wettest drink in the world. That was lovely. So, and the reason I wanted you to start today on the roller, I just wanted to do work around the spine again today. And what's important is to open up the chest and have that shoulder to pelvic connection going. So I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades either side of the roller, really get the active pinch in there before you turn your palms upwards on the floor at your side. And just give yourself a little bit of a moment. Consciously, actively breathe and see if you can just enable the body to sink into the firm roller, if that makes sense. We are tension holders. I want you to think, pelvis, I'm relaxed. I can feel my sacrum against the blue roller. I want to relax. I want to enable my body to start to envelop, wrap, sink, melt. Take your feet nice and wide, feet flat on the floor, and I just want you to drop one knee in towards the middle of the roller and then reset it, and then the other leg in and reset. So this helps us to just release off the any tension or tightness that sits into the low back where your hips engage into where your hips and pelvis and spinal connect. So a little bit of internal hip rotation to get going. And as you do this, I want you to actively push that knee downwards. So as the knee drops into the center, into the midline, push the knee down a little bit more. You should feel maybe a stretch in the hips a little bit at the front. Maybe your hip bones at the front. Okay, and now we're going to bring the feet slightly closer together. Your hands are wider, and then try and see if you can drop one knee out and then the other, if not both together. Just like out and in, just for a moment. Again, what you might feel is a pocket of tension that builds up in the muscles around the pelvis, around the top of the bottom. As you go out and in. So as you do this, let's consciously consider your pelvic floor. So in the first place, drop the feet out and in. Let's see if we can walk the soles of the feet closer together and see if we can drop the knees out completely now. Soles of the feet together, knees drop out completely, and I want you to fully relax at the pelvic floor. You may need to kind of make any adjustments around the low back, but try to fully relax. Okay, and now to connect. So take your awareness, think about the pelvic floor. What does that look like? How you can lift it. So think that gentle draw inwards, upwards. And you may feel a bit of a pelvis shift and twist, not twist, a pelvis tilt and shift as you pull in and up through the pelvic floor. And that's okay. Okay, right. Let's get mobile. Stretch your legs, stretch out and straighten off your knees and straighten off your legs. We're going to point and flex through the feet. Straighten off those knees. Pointing and flexing, and think big toes. Think arches. That's where your connection is. So as soon as I start thinking about my big toes, my feet get closer together, because instead I go wide. So pull it all together. So that creates a bit of tension in your low back as well. You're pointing and flexing. All good. Walk your feet in. Okay. So your knees are bent, your feet are in. Now, let's think about the arms. Send your arms towards the ceiling, palms facing towards each other. Then turn your palms down towards your feet. Create elbows and lovely cactus shapes as you drop your elbows towards the floor. Now, they're not going to touch the floor, so it's a straight arm up and down. However, as you do this, you're creating 90 degrees at your elbow, preferably less, straight line up and down, and be conscious of what's going on around the shoulder girdle. Now, it might feel a bit imbalanced. You might be aware of niggles here as you simply operate up and down. On the down phase, elbows towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades nice and firmly. Feel your shoulder blades wrap around the roller, and then maybe you can go a little deeper and work on getting your elbows to touch the ground. It's quite an effort, isn't it, to be able to do that? Okay, so what happens here, if we try and get the elbows towards the ground, the shoulders rotate forward. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the elbows to 90 degrees. So there should be a straight line from right to left elbow. And from here, let's see if we can just drop the palms, drop the hands backwards so they float. Palms point towards the ceiling. So we are taking the palms upwards, so palms face down towards your toes, and then palms point towards the ceiling. Back to toes, ceiling. Now do this a few times. I'm not sure, but I think we got spirits in this little studio with Pat. So if you're hearing thumps and bangs, it's Pat. Right, so continue to do this. So this is really getting some strong mobility into the shoulder. It feels a bit, hopefully you're starting to respond to it. Right, palm points towards the ceiling. Let's see if we can just slide your arms higher, like hands up. You're under rest, that kind of feeling. And then draw your elbows back down. Your palms will remain pointing to the ceiling. So, ooh. So this is giving you quite a big back massage. It's really quite strong and powerful around the shoulder joint. And the fascia stuff, so the muscles are just putting that lovely deep pressure into the roller, and we're just getting a really lovely open shoulder. Okay, now clasp your fingers together. See if you can rest your arms overhead. See if you can get your knuckles down onto the floor. Now that's going to be a challenge, Chris, I get that, so do what you can adapt. But it's important here to feel the chest open. That's what I'm looking for here. So that's part one. Now you're here and your knuckles are touching the floor and your chest is open. I want you to have a little think about squeezing the lat muscles, so your armpit muscles. So I don't know if you can see me, but I'm trying to engage my armpit muscles, and as a result, there's quite a big shift like a flare in the back of my armpits. Now, all of this feels really bonkers, all right? So just bear with on this one. Back work is really hard to train. So your feedback is from the roller, and hopefully what I'm saying is landing with you. But if we can see it, we can train it, but we can't see behind the shoulder blades, so that it's kind of a bit weird for us. So bear with, it will all make sense in a minute. Right, keeping your arms overhead, and by now you'll start to get a bit tired here. I want you to now switch your attention to the front of your ribs and the bottom ribs. So whilst your knuckles are touching the ground behind you and your elbows are all relaxed and your arms are overhead, I want you now to connect with your core muscles and see if we can lock down the front of these ribs. So knit your front ribs together. Your spine shifts and changes. Now pull it all in nice and tight and then relax. Pull it all nice and tight and then relax. And that connection here, your lats down into your pelvis, is starting to happen. So upper body to lower body connection is all kicking in. It's also, fancy terms, known as the hydraulic amplifier mechanism. I don't know so much. It's just how it works. Upper body, lower body. Right, now team, we are going to release the arms. Relax your shoulders and take your arms onto the ground. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do here is a little bit of a chin to chest activity. Palms down, slide your fingers away towards your heels, straighten off your elbows. So you've got a straight arm. So your arms aren't relaxed on the floor, your hands are down. Take a breath as you exhale, chin to chest, and see if you can just slide your hands away. Lower down again, breath in, exhale. Now this is not particularly fun because you're doing this on the firm roller, and I want you just to connect and listen to those niggles that's going on elsewhere in your body, okay? So you might notice as you pull up and your eye gaze is going through your fingertips and your knees, that you might notice you feel a little bit imbalanced in your back maybe. You may feel it in your core muscles. Your feet are wide because you're stabilizing. Still think about that pelvic floor engagement as you lift and lower down. So this is part of neck pull. Lovely. And then from there, just relax. Roll off your roller. Wow. We're not quite done. We're nice and lubricated in this area. So you're now, this will be me in 24 hours, maybe 32 hours, 38 hours time. Lying by the pool, looking out on the, or on the beach, looking out at the sunrise, right? That'll be me in a couple of days. Okay, so what I'm looking for, because we've done quite a lot of work already, believe it or not, around the shoulders, around the chest, around the back. I want you to look forward, your starting position. Now bear with me, and we're going to do this really super slowly. I want you to wrap your shoulder blades around the roller and then engage. So I want you to think about your abdominal muscles to pull yourself back up. Roll and let your shoulder blades wrap around the roller. Use only your abdominals to pull yourself back up. So we're really putting some really strong and significant control into your center to pull yourself up. It's all ab work, okay? It's not thrust, it's not inertia, we're not doing momentum here. So I have got my arms kind of floating with me. So none of us like the vertigo, do we, girls? So if we kind of like throw ourselves, there's a good chance you'll trigger that vertigo. So use all the control from your center. The other thing that might happen here is that it might make you feel a bit irritated in your lungs. So this is a really nice thing. So this is allowing some lovely extension work in your upper back, which is really important. And again, it's, you know, ultimately with Pilates, it's we talk about posture, but this is releasing any tension. So just really take your time with this. It's fairly subtle. So allow yourself to really get that extension and then come back. All the while, you're getting this pressure point, so you've got some lovely little trigger points that just sit underneath your shoulder blades. So that pressure when you're rolling over it is that release work, and then that in turn is talking to your lats and it's talking to your obliques, your waistline muscles. So honestly, so while me and Pat are nattering in the car as we drive over here, this is all the stuff that's going through my head. Pat's shaking her head. Okay. On the last go, your eye gaze is looking through your knees. Your hands are pointing towards your knees. We are now going to just set our arms forward. Okay. Now, it's a small move, all focused here in your center. Tiny, weeny, little presses. So do you remember when we used to like really think about sucking up your abdominals underneath your ribs? It's exactly what we're doing here. So tiny, weeny, little presses. Tiny. Now walk your knees closer together. Press your toes down into the mat. Lift your heels. Tiny, weeny. Pull everything down and in so you're getting a lovely C shape with your spine. Tiny, weeny, little presses. Tiny, pull in. Think everything is being sucked into this lovely C shape. And because all this effort is in the middle, there's no stress in the neck. Tiny, weeny, little presses, and roll release. Roll release, we are taking the roller into the middle of the back now. Lift your bottom if you want to. Get your shoulders down onto the floor. Leave your hips lifted and just stretching. We're stretching out now around the ribs, around the abdominals. Ooh, gurgling, gurgling. Okay, now that's going to feel intense, so we move quickly. Heels into ground, lift bottom, pop roller underneath your pelvis and rest your pelvis there. Cup your hands over the roller so it doesn't roll away, and that gives you roughly an idea of where the roller's going to be. Okay, one knee, two knees. Okay, so single leg stretch, you're very comfortable with this. What makes this different now is that where your shoulders are lower, so actually you're going to get a stronger stretch out your psoas. But we're going to super mega slow this down. If you find the load in your back is too strong, when you send your leg out, it goes higher. Now let me tell you, the dominant muscle here is psoas. So that is here at the top of your pelvis connecting to your thigh. The slower you do this, the more effort that is required for this movement. And I want you to think about that deep connection and drive. Think about that slow movement and feel that contraction come on through your low bikini line as you pull that leg back in. Okay, so this is good. I feel like I'm sliding my head towards the wall here. Okay, so from here, this is the change. The feet flex, the toes turn out. Same thing, heel goes out, toe turns out and pull back in, heels touch. So one goes out and in. Think about straightening off your knee, keeping the foot flexed. The slower we do this, the more the connection is into psoas. So keep really gripping on, girls. So think about the top of your bikini line. It's tight. There's tension on there. Use those muscles in your lower abdominals to pull the leg in. And it will feel really odd, like the whole movement just feels a bit weird. Now, if it's stressing and lowering into your back, that's telling me we're not switched on through our abdominals strongly enough. Last time. Lovely. Okay, from there, if you can, feet down on the floor, or lift the bottom, send the roller beneath your knees. Okay, if you want to, when you're ready, bring yourself into a seated position. Whew. Ta-da! Like, bloody hell. Right, okay, so we're a little bit relaxed. You may need to do a few adjustments. Okay, the roller's underneath your knees. I can't see me on the telly because all I can, there's a lovely big teapot pat. Would you mind moving that teapot away from me? I'm like, oh, can they see me? Right, so what I'm looking for, your knees are, the back of your knees are rested on the roller, and we're just going to sit in and lean in for a minute. So you should have quite a lot of tension in your lower back just to stretch off for a second. Okay. Right, so it goes like this. Single, single, double. Single, single, double. My lovely, my lovely crunchy knees. Can you hear that? Okay, so I'd still need you to sit forward when you do this. So this is quite strong into the hip flexors, okay? So when we were lying on the roller, and it was sending the leg out, the hip flexors were working in extension. So they were working fully stretched. Sat up, asking you to extend your knees, the hip flexors are working in their shortened state. So it's kind of the opposite way. It's a really good way to train muscles. This is how ballerinas have that long, lithe appeal. So we've worked the muscle in lengthening, and now we're working it in shortening. Okay, release off. You might need to just put your hands on the floor and just give yourself a minute. Okay, so what we're looking for is bringing the legs together, and we're going to lift, simply just lift one leg in the air, then the other. You know what? I realise that when I start something with simply, that implies actually there's another version of it, and we're probably going to have a look at that next. Yeah, okay. So what you might experience is tension in the back. Keep your chin on your chest as you do this. Is that right? No, look up. I lie. Watch. Squeeze your shoulder blades, open your chest, look up. Okay. This is a bit of nerve flossing, sciatic flossing. So it's important to look up when you do this bit. If you look down, it feels too strong in the back. If you look up, it's easier. Okay, give yourself a minute. Okay, we've got this. Right, so we're just going to knock that roller out the way for a second. Okay, so the next bit is we're sat up nice and tall. Fingers are there kind of decoration. They're kind of there for decoration. And we are going to look at lifting the leg again. So alternating. This is what happens. Okay, so do as many as you can. Sit forward if you can. 8 to go, 7, 6. One leg works, other leg's like, no, don't like that. It's really intense, really intense. So you're doing really well. Last time. Well done. Whew. Okay. Take your feet round to one side. Well done. Oh. Okay. So, and I know it from a teaching point of view, there are some exercises I don't enjoy teaching anymore because it makes me feel unwell. But we can't keep avoiding them. So here I am back doing some of the ones that I don't like so much. Right, so we're going to have a look at, because we've already done quite a lot of work around the shoulder and the pelvis and the back. Again, after that intense leg lift in hip flexion, now what we're going to do is use the shoulder and press the hips forward. So it's a rise up and push the hips forward, part one. Okay. Now, if you want to add in arms, that's a nice thing. The idea is to push the hip forward, so you need a bit of a bum squeeze when you do this, please. Now, if you feel inclined, not only can you sweep the arm overhead, but you can look up towards the ceiling. So it's bum squeeze, hip lift, arm overhead, sweep arm backwards, look towards ceiling, and reset. So lift 1, 2. So you kind of open up your chest. What you should feel is a stretch out through the elbow joint and through the chest at the same time when you do this. But actually you'll get a shortening of your external oblique and a lengthening of your internal oblique. So you might feel it in your back on the lift, but you feel a stretch on the lift. Okay, well done. Last time, switch sides. And while all that was going on, you were strengthening those beautiful shoulders of yours. So, same thing, other side. Nice bit of space between heel of hand and hip. And it might mean that you need to have a couple of goes just so you feel comfortable. And when you think, yeah, I've got that, we can incorporate that arm overhead. So a few more, just bringing the arm overhead and squeezing the butt. So being conscious to push your bottom forward. Okay, and then not only does the arm come overhead, but then there's that rotation again. You have a little cheeky look towards the ceiling. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely. So again, stretching out through the elbow joint, getting that additional stretch and strengthen into the front of the shoulder, opening. And you know, this rotation work, I haven't been a fan of for a long time, but we've got to bring it back into the repertoire. Well done. Okay, let's come back around to the other side, please. Now watch, we've been here before. Lovely. Right, I'm kneeling up at the front third, so that enables me to extend. Okay. Now a couple of things need to happen here. There needs to be a good line from knee to hip to shoulder. And there needs to be a tipping point before you bring your hand down. Okay, so once we're in place and feel nice and settled, then it's a leg lift. Leg lift. So this is going to feel horribly strong into the outside of the hip. And of course you're against gravity. 4 and 3 and 2. Last time, hold. Tiny, weeny, little presses. Tiny, higher. As in higher with your leg. Right, and release. Okay, well done. Okay, got it? Okay. Other side, so you either need to turn 180 degrees or flip over. Okay, the same rules apply. Everything nicely aligned, shoulder, hip, knee. I tend to like to go into that tip first because it just really helps me to like feel confident in the movement, and then we throw the leg. 7, 6, 5. Good. Up and hold. Tiny, weeny, little presses. Tiny, little presses. And release. Good job. Onto your knees. Onto all fours. Palms pointing away. Okay. We need to just hump and hollow for a moment. Make this, like I've taught this like for a million years, right? Just round the back and drop the ribs. Let's really put some thought and effort into it. So use your deep abdominal muscles to help with the spinal rounding. Chin to chest, really lift up through pelvic floor. Belly pulled in. Can you hear me gasping? Okay, and then the reverse is drop the chest, eye gaze forward. Now what I'm finding, again, when we go slow here, it's finding those niggles. And be conscious that you're really pushing out the heels of your hands to really feel the stretch around the elbow joint, to feel the back really give and round out, and then to switch it, to really allow the abdominals to stretch, the neck to lengthen. And if you need to move into the movement, so apply a little bit of a wiggle, or take your weight forward or take your weight backwards, just to really get that strong release, then crack on. Again, extension, upper back extension work can make you feel a bit of an irritant into the esophagus. Well done. Okay, so seeing that we've done some lovely exciting stuff around shoulders already, sorry Chris is like, bugger off you lot. Right, toes together, knees wide, child's pose but not. We're taking the forearms out onto the roller and dropping the head towards the ground. Enable that stretch. So some of you might prefer your bum on your heels. Some of you might want to just shift forward a little bit, but all of this is about releasing what's going across the back and shoulders. Really important piece here. Let gravity come down, breathe. Try and release and relax into it. So if you feel your elbows are starting to touch the ground, I want you to really think about the bicep into the lat. So you're pulling muscles in your arm, coming down into your armpit, into your rib cage. Let them stretch out. Lovely. Lovely. Okay, so yeah, we're all good. Right, so we're coming up and over, and you're leaving your ankles on the roller. Okay, so ankles are on the roller. Now, watch me. Yes, that's my knee. So we're looking to send the roller out and in 3 times, then rest. So when the roller goes out, I want you to squeeze your thighs so your knees straighten. But actively squeeze your thighs. Really feel that lock off with your kneecap. We'll go 3 and then rest. Try not to dangle your heads. Feel your weight over your shoulders. Knees down, bottom onto heel, sit up. Okay, right. So your ankles are rested on the roller. Soz. Okay. All we're doing is rising, okay? That's all we're doing. So bum pushes us off the deck. So bum is driving the hips forward and then back again. Squeezing up and back. So the ankles are still floating off your roller, okay? Now if you want to, you can bring your thighs closer together. Keep squeezing. In fact, let's do that. Bring your thighs right close together and really drive through your butt as you push yourself up. Part 1. Okay. So again, it's quite enriching around the knee joint. Enriching being a really positive word. When you're up there, stay up there. So you're now on the patella, you're on your kneecap. I just want you to lean back and up again. I'm going to show you another variation of this, stronger variation. So if you want to, you can take your arms back, palms forward, lean back, and then really lean back. So it's really strong. This is like trusting. It's really strong. And this is trusting your quads. 2 more. These girls are like, what the hell's happened to her today? Well done. Okay. Bring the roller in front of you. Curl your toes under your heels. And just push back. So we're going to do a simple action. So I've gone from like a little kutch or cuppy down, popping my knees on the floor, pushing back and rolling onto my feet. So I'm getting quite a strong stretch up the back of my Achilles into my calf muscles. So down, knees touch floor, sit back. So I'm using the roller in my arms to push myself into a little mini squat, if you like. I like this. I don't think we get to stretch the Achilles and the calves enough. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I do know that. I don't just for lols make you do terrible bad things. If you repeat this enough for me, you might get to a point where you can actually get your heels onto the ground maybe. I didn't realise until now how tight my Achilles and calves were. So if you want to progress it, work on getting your heels down. Strong, huh? Nuts. Barbara's like, yeah, it is. Bugger off. Okay. So we're staying. Oh dear. Pat?
Yeah.
Oh, you were here?
Yeah.
Right, couldn't see you. Right, so this one is more functional based, so and it will feel a little bit clunky for you. Now bearing in mind we have been using our knees quite a lot. I'm sat now with my shins on the floor. What I'm looking for is a shift of weight and sending my leg out stretched in front of me. Then I'm going to pull it all the way back and switch sides. So, like, what is wrong with her today? So, this one, because we've done quite a lot of work around the hip, front and back of the hip today, and then we did some abductor work. So it's a lot of hip work, spine work, a lot of mobility stuff. So this one's important. If you start to lean forward as you extend that leg, so we've done quite a few now between us, lean forward, the stretch is starting to happen into your hamstring and your body is starting to feel a bit more confident with the movement pattern. So you're feeling a bit more supported, hopefully. Okay, and then release. Okay, so what I want you to do, let's work on it together for me. So right sit bone on the roller. So the right foot is on the floor, the left shin is on the floor. And I want you to give yourself a bit of a fascia massage. So roll your bum cheek, right and left, side to side. Just roll over your bum cheek. Now this is a nice one for you, Patrice. So this gets really deep into the muscles that attach into the sacroiliac joint. So from a release point of view, it is coming out of the knee joint, so up gracilis into the pelvis. So, and then we're going across into piriformis, so it's not too uncomfortable, but it's quite a nice one. Now then make light blue, and if you want to kind of wiggle jiggle into it because you're finding this quite pleasurable in a pleasure pain kind of way. Ooh, so the knees going, oh hello, hips going, oh hello, but it's a nice one. Okay, and when you're ready, switch sides. So it is your left sit bone, so it's the bottom of the pelvis that you can feel. Your left foot is flat, your right knee is on the ground, and you're rolling side to side. Again, adjust where you feel you need to, but it gets kind of deep into your bum crack a little bit. We likey? Do I get a thumbs up? Do I get a thank God she's doing some nice stuff? Yeah. Oh, Barbara's like, not sure, not sure. Not sure if you can feel it or not sure if you like it. 1 or 2? 2, right, okay. So, like I say, if you need to just adjust, because these muscles get tight and less mobility, so often neglected, and when they are tight or we're lacking mobility there, then that's when we start seeing balances in the low back as well. So it is quite a nice one to be able to adjust. There was a time I couldn't do this at all. Oh, it feels nice. Okay, so when you're ready, we're going to dismount because we are going to do a fascia roll onto the quadricep, actually the full group. So straight legs, roll forward and back, feet wide, toes in, feet in, toes out. So we'll work through that variation. Remembering things like breath work is really important. If you don't like it, why, what's tight, what needs adjusting. Breathe, that's obviously key to this. And then the final thought with it is speed. So the lower we do this, the thinner we can stretch that steak. So the slower you do this as you roll forward and backwards. Right. Using your breath. Now, if you feel that as you roll, you're literally clipping over muscles, that's telling me there's a lot of tension there. So what we need, if there's those bits where you think, ooh, you might need to just hover, breathe and let your body weight settle down onto the roller. Now remember what I said, feet wider, and we tend to get, I've done that for a while. Feet wider, we're on the inner thigh. Again, a straight leg versus a bent knee. God, that's intense for me. And then the alternative where almost toes touching, so toes in, heels out, and then you can start loading up the outside of the thigh. Oh God. Oh. Time. Give it all time. If you want to be so bold, you can get halfway up the thigh, so halfway between the hip and the knee. Stop, breathe. Keep going, stop, breathe. How does that feel? Oh. It's all right, isn't it? Right, something to note. It might give you a bit of a headache just to remind yourself of this, because sometimes like acid, might feel a bit intense. Okay, are we feeling good? Yeah? Good stuff. Right, okay, so ditch the roller. So as we sort of come towards the end now, we're going to go into down dog, and we're going to put a combo together, pulling all the components together. So we'll start with downward facing dog, curling toes under heels, lifting tail. Okay. From here, just bend the knees and just settle into that movement. Enjoy the stretch through the back of the legs. Then we're going to roll forward into a plank. Push back into down dog. Roll forward. Do this on your own time. See how this feels. Do you need to add in a knee bend and a little foot walk at the top of the movement? Okay. Lovely. Come forward into that plank position. Walk your feet slightly wider and drop to the sides of the foot. Come into side plank. Hand down. Push back into downward dog. Roll forward into plank. Turn feet to side. Side plank. Hands down, push back into down dog. Well done. Come forward. We're going to do one more of these each way into side plank. Lovely. Enjoy that stability. Push back into down dog. Come forward. Lovely, Sue. Come forward into plank. Side plank last time. Lovely. Hands down, child's pose. So knees down, sit back, child's pose. So when you're ready, make yourself comfortable. I'd like to just do a bit of wrist work with you for a second, wrist and hand work, before we finish with breath work. Okay, so if you can bring yourself into a seated position. You all right, Pat? Oh, I'll do it. Hang on. Okay, so what I'd like us to do in the seated position, so I'm sat on my roller and the tops of my feet are on the floor, so my knees are down. That makes me nice and comfortable. Right, so let's start wrist and finger work. So press the hands together, elbows lift. So we're trying to send the heels of the hands down without connecting. So push down. So I know this is a weakness of mine, and it turns out this is sort of hand mobility. We really do need to look after our hands. So push the heels down as far as you can go, and then open up with your hands, okay? So push down, push up. So keep your index finger and your thumbs, your thumb and your pinky fingers together. So down, heels of hands, up. It's like a lotus. Nice little bit of shoulder mobility that goes on here. Last time, hands down low. See if you can just press your fingertips into each other. Okay, and then I want you to entwine your fingers, and then just little gentle pulls as you twist. So drop your heel of one hand away, and little massage, little pulls. So again, just little stretches around the joints. Okay, now cup your fingers. So left over right, and a little pull, because you'll feel this connection into your chest and your shoulders. And then we switch, and a little pull, and switch. So we need that strength in the hands, and a little pull. Okay, and this time just a push, push. So right pushes left, left pushes right. Okay, now use your right hand to pull your left fingers down. So we're stretching the whole arm away, and I want you to focus on drawing circles with your thumb. So, and that should feel quite nice in the palm of your hand. So again, do what feels comfy for you. I like, because my thumb, because I lift quite strong weights, I really need to get a nice stretch out my thumb. So I like to just pull it back manually. So use my right hand to pull back on my left, and then sort of wiggle jiggle my index finger to feel that stretch in my hand. Okay, other hand. So left pulls down on right. See if you can stretch out at the elbow and enjoy that stretch up the inside of the forearm into the elbow. Start to wiggle jiggle your thumb. And again, if you need to come under, so left hand comes under and grabs thumb and stretch it away. So silly as it feels, it's all really important stuff because it's all connected. Okay, and then fist and stretch, fist and stretch. Okay, fist and stretch. Okay, let's do that pull again. So entwine the fingers and pull and stretch, and then press the palms away. If you want to, send that up. Just really enjoy how that feels into the palm of your hands, and then release. Okay. Now we've done such beautiful chest work and opening work today. Just see if you can stay sat. Relax your hands, relax your arms, close your eyes. Try and relax your bum cheeks because you might be holding on. So just relax there. Okay, feel that breath come in through the nostrils and really down deep into the belly. Okay. As you breathe deep into the belly, let's see if we can go a little deeper and send that breath down to the bottom of the spine. It's almost like growing roots. Feel that breath move down towards the knees, into the shins, just growing roots. Find that stillness in your breathing and just keep linking in with your own sounds. Stay with your own in the moment sounds. Consider the blue sky. Sunshine and lightness, whether it's hot or cold, just feel even underneath the ground movements there because spring is coming. Last time. Create some movement with your fingers. Touch thumb to baby finger, ring finger, middle finger, index finger, and back again. When you're ready, wiggle your whole hands, then your wrists, then your elbows, then your shoulders. Arms out wide, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Arms up high. Big stretch, pull your arms up to your ears, settle your shoulders down, arms out wide again, and then bring your hands together and draw a circle. Well done. Okay, so that was the one with the roller and the stretching and the fascia stuff with lots of extension work, and hopefully you enjoyed that today. Don't forget, you know where we are, and well done team. I'm just going to put my earpieces in because they randomly fall out and I randomly